Hey everybody, it's Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is a show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. I had to bring him back because we just started talking about some hot stuff, and I think we're about to set Hartford on fire with what we're about to talk about.
Nice.
So I'm talking about Abdul Rahman Muhammad.
Rahman, yeah.
Yeah, did I get it right?
Yeah.
It was Abdul. Yeah.
Abdul.
I had a guest on a couple weeks. By the time this gets published a
Yeah.
while ago, got his last name wrong, and we're good friends, man. It's
Oh
just,
man.
I feel bad.
It's one of my pet peeves.
What?
But like I always try to make sure I get people's names right. Because it's like the most important thing. It's like the first thing you usually say, right? So like
Yeah.
I have a tendency to forget people's names.
Ooh.
Like I'm like, because my mind is a lot of stuff going on up there.
Yeah.
So I forget names now, but it's like it's very important to me. There's two things I do. So like when in my fatherhood program, I always purposely call all my fathers Mr. Whatever.
Right.
Even if they say to me, you can call me William. I will always say Mr. Clark, Mr. Clark, Mr. Clark. And the reason why is because in the world that we do our fatherhood is like with DCF,
Right.
random people just talk to them like they're just anybody.
Right.
They don't give them any respect. And so for me, it's like I know that I'm a respected person. So if I give you respect, it's like I like to share that. And it's important to me that the fathers feel respected.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I used to work in public housing in Philadelphia,
Yep.
and everybody that came in the door was a Mr. or a Mrs. And it came because very similar reasons as you. So I started working in public housing, and obviously, well, not obviously, but I guess in that part of the country, in Philadelphia, mostly everybody that utilized those services were brown or black,
Right.
and I didn't want them to feel less than when they came in to put an app in.
Yeah.
Then I started working at in the projects, and saw the conditions people were living in, which broke my heart.
Right.
Yeah. But when you came in to do business, pay your rent, get recertified, submit a work order, service order, it was always with the intent of running the site like a traditional market rate facility.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Tell me what happened. What can I do to help? I'll get right on it right now, and actually do it.
Right.
It's out of respect, man, and it didn't quite change people's living conditions in terms of their desire to
Right.
leave for whatever reason. But man, for them to know that they were respected and they were a person, not an animal,
Right.
not people corralled in the ghetto or a hood, but people that actually meant something. So
Respect goes a long way.
sure does, man. So before we jump into this conversation, tell us how you got to Hartford. Like why?
Yeah.
How, man? What's the story?
So actually, it's okay. So the first part of the story is simple, right? My parents moved to Hartford. My father got a job at the Village,
Okay.
for families and children, back in like 1988, something like that. And we moved to Connecticut. So from the time I moved to Connecticut, I was trying to get the heck up out of here.
How old were you when you moved here?
I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, so you were
And
like
so-
a grown kid.
Yeah. So I was like, so basically every weekend I would go to New York. I'm out here. Boom. I'm in White Plains. I jump on a bus, whatever, just chill, run away from home,
Jeez.
back to New York. Settled in. I graduate from high school. Okay, I'm going to go to college. So I go to college. Actually, I go to film school. I drop out of film school. Then I go to college. I do my 4 years in college. I come back up here for a year. And then I go to Atlanta. And so I was going to live in Atlanta. I was going to graduate school in Atlanta. My whole plan was just Atlanta's the place to be.
Even back then?
This is the 90s. This is like I graduated from grad school in 1999. So
Oh, so Atlanta was popping.
yeah, it
Okay.
was popping.
Yeah.
So 1999, I'm going to stay in Atlanta. My last semester of graduate school, I get kidney failure. So now I'm like in graduate school. I'm supposed to stay in Atlanta. My daughter lives in Atlanta, all this stuff, but I'm like deathly ill. Like I'm dying. And so I get kidney failure. And so I start that last semester, I'm in a hospital, different things like that. I still graduate. And then I was like, I got to go home just because my health is too tenuous, right? So at any given point, I could get really messed up and have to be in the hospital, and I don't have anybody out here that's going to support me. I'm just with a bunch of guys, my boys. My boys can't help me. So I come back to Connecticut, and that's that. I decide I'm here. So the great part is, like, 2 years after, 2.5 years, my little sister gave me a kidney, and so that was like, to me, kidney failure was like the first, like, yo, you're not invincible type thing. It's like, yo, you're like not invincible. I used to think I could do anything back then, like health wise and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got kidney failure, it really makes you look at the whole world differently. I always remember it's like being a young black man, a young healthy black man, to me is the greatest thing that you could ever have in your life. I remember walking in a room and feeling strong. I remember feeling confident all the time. I remember thinking I looked great. All of these things. When I got kidney failure, all of that stuff, that the me that I thought I was all taken away, because it was like I lost 30 pounds. I didn't feel like people could bump into me, and you know how you bump into somebody and it's kind of like an equal bump, but it's like they would bump into me and it would like really like knock me back. And so I would be terrified because I have a big mouth too. So I'm like one of those people that before I think I would have said something, but I would have, at the time I was very frail and weak. I had tubes coming out of my body all the time. It's crazy. And so when my sister gave me my kidney, it was like, yo, I'm gonna live my life. This is like the beginning of like Dream Chaser and all of that kind of stuff, because it was like, yo, I gotta do something now, because I was sick all of these years, and now I'm not sick no more. I feel much better, so I'm gonna start living my life and stuff. So that was the long version of why I came back to Connecticut, or got to Connecticut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But for the grace of God, man,
That's right.
that could be all of our stories.
That's right. Yeah. People don't realize it though. But it's what I always say, for me, I have a very good memory about that time. And what it does is it keeps you in a reminder that you have to like appreciate, because like it's like one day the day before I got sick, I had the greatest basketball game of my life. Like I was playing so good that it was like embarrassing. It was like that. It was like one of those games where there was nothing I could
pickup
miss.
game or like
just regular pickup. This is just. But I'm talking about if we played 10 games, I won 10 games, and I was killing these people. It was just embarrassing. And so the next week, I couldn't breathe running down the court.
Get out.
And so imagine going from like, this is my highest high to my lowest low in a week, and then staying there for 2.5 years.
Crazy,
so, yeah.
Thank God for health and having it together, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Take
you
care
for
of your health,
story,
people.
Man. Facts. You said the last time we were together, you are a take action type of guy, and you launched immediately into My People's Clinical Services. In the leadership world, when we talk about and look at organizational leadership, behavior, culture, life cycles, in recent years, past 2 decades, the topic of choice and the strategy of choice has been to see organizations move towards that action of moving and launching immediately. The reason is it has been proven that going through a long cycle of product development, strategy development, finally getting to market, and then getting rejected by consumers or getting outpriced by the market is too costly and too expensive. And it's much more advantageous from a strategic standpoint, a financial standpoint, a business standpoint to just do.
Yes.
It's hard for large organizations to just do. So I wanted to, as a part of the ongoing conversation, dig into the mindset of just doing, of launching.
Love it.
For people who have dreams, all year of this podcast show, we've been dealing with and wrestling with just doing and launching. Time out for New Year resolutions. Time out for making promises you can't keep. At the end of the day, it seems as though the strategy of choice for individuals who have goals, etc., is to just do.
Mhm.
So, talk to us about what went through your mind when you decided to just launch My People Services, because you said you went from 0 to 100 like real quick.
Yeah.
So talk to us, about that. I might stop you just to kind of dig into the story, but tell us about
Well,
that.
well, it's kind of like this. It's either so it's interesting. Right before I started My People, right? So I had coming into 2005, I had decided I'm going to start a business.
And this is a for-profit
This is a
business.
for-profit business.
Okay.
So, and that's important too, because I looked at all of the business models, right? So my issue with not so in social services, typically we think nonprofit,
Nonprofit.
right? The reason why I didn't go with a nonprofit is because I desired control. I did not want a board of people to tell me what to do, how I should do it, why I shouldn't do this. They no. This is me. I'm taking this shot.
This is a privately held company.
This is
Corporation.
me. My people is
Yeah.
Abdul. So the thing about it is very important for me that nobody could tell me what I could do with my people.
And it doesn't take away from the fact that you're providing quality, good services.
A nonprofit is a business model.
Say it again.
A nonprofit is a business model.
It is.
The NBA, the NFL, the NHL are all nonprofits.
The league offices.
They're
Yeah.
the owner of the entire organization is a nonprofit. The reason they do that is some people start a nonprofit for tax reasons, right? You don't pay taxes when you have a nonprofit. That's smart. You also can get donations when you have a nonprofit. The way I look at our services at My People, when I was saying, what do I want to do, is that I'm going to provide these services. I'm going to get paid for my services, and I want to be able to determine how I want to spend the money, what I want to do with it, and it's going to be my business. I don't want to have to go back and report to my board. I don't want to have to get these people that are so smart to be on my board. All I want to do is do my work, because at the time, you got to remember, when I started My People, it was just me. So it wasn't like I was saying I'm gonna have 100 staff. This was just I'm gonna just do my thing, and that's what's gonna happen.
It says so far you haven't mentioned money or
Right.
keeping the profits.
Right. Well, we get to that later. But
But I point this out, and for people watching, this back and forth, I think is important because I focus on small businesses and nonprofits and churches in my podcast.
Right.
This back and forth is important for people who make decisions. But the reason I point out the fact that you haven't talked about money is because typically people will say it's about keeping the profits, which is the distinction between having a nonprofit and a for-profit. A nonprofit, you can't keep the profits.
Exactly.
In a for-profit, you keep the profits, but you haven't mentioned that yet.
okay,
And I find that interesting.
so my drive, my personality,
Uh-huh.
I like money. Don't get me wrong, but that I don't create an organization because of money, right? I didn't say, well, the reason why I'm choosing this model, I chose the model so I could have control.
That's interesting.
I'm not I wasn't thinking about profits. I was thinking about, but no, let's be honest. Control over everything, over the money, control over who I hire, control over who's going to be talking to me, who I have to talk to, who I don't have to talk to. I desire to be in control of what I'm doing. If I'm going to put in the work, it's my idea. I'm going to take the risk. Let me be in control of it. So right before I started My People, I had met with this guy. He was another social worker just like me. We had this big meeting. In my mind at the time, there was this big meeting. We met with one of the insurance companies. When we walked into the meeting, we were partners. We were going to start this organization. I'm a black guy, just in case you can't tell. And he
I
was a
didn't
white
notice.
guy, right? And so we were going to be, and so we went into the meeting. We did a pitch, right? The pitch went very well. When we come out of the meeting, he says to me, well, Abdul, you don't have your LCSW. And because you don't have your LCSW, I'm going to have to be the lead of the organization.
What's the LCSW for people?
So I have at the time I had a master's in social work. The LCSW is a distinction that is like you're a licensed clinical social worker, which allows you to bill insurance companies and stuff like that. All right. So we went in, partners. We left out, he's my boss. And I'm thinking, like, dude, I'm leaving my job because I don't want a boss. And so the funny thing about it, I've never seen this guy again. Me and him used to see each other like every day. I have never seen him since then, right? Reason, seasons, lifetime, right? So the lesson comes up, boom. March 5th, I'm gonna start my people. I made my own brochure. At my computer that I borrowed the money to get the money for the computer from my brother Kareem. Boom. I start going to different meetings in the community. I didn't have an idea of like how do I get to get the business going. My idea was just keep going to these meetings. Something's gonna happen. Go to a meeting. One of the first people I meet at a meeting with giving out my brochures was this lady. This lady, her name is Lorna Little, right?
Lorna Little.
Lorna Little, right?
Never met her, but I know she
The
recently moved
great
out to
Lorna Little, right?
California doing big things.
So Lorna Little says to me, she says, your brochure is nice, but my husband could probably make it look a little bit more professional, a little bit better. And I was like, all right. So she introduced me to her husband, Alonzo Little. Alonzo Little at the time had a business called Images and More. And so Alonzo takes my brochure, picture of me and my daughter, he updates it, right? So within a month of me starting my business, somebody that I don't even know, she actually worked with my mom, so I knew her vaguely, but didn't know her. She provided me some assistance. She wanted to help me out, right? And so then I don't know how, I went to some meeting and I got a referral for my fatherhood program. Now, this is a big moment because it's like I proved that I could get one referral. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. Then I'm still moving, shaking. Somebody says that thing about the mentoring. Man, too bad you don't do mentoring, man. Boom, yes I do. Made a new brochure. Here's my new brochure. We do fatherhood, we do mentoring, right?
Yeah.
Then, I'm working. I'm always going to meetings, different things. They say, man, too bad y'all don't do home-based therapy. Boom, yes we do.
Yes, we do.
We do. And I'm like, that's how fast I was. So like, if you have a nonprofit, you got to wait to the next board meeting. I want to propose that we add in new services. No, I was adding services overnight. Like overnight, I go home and create a brochure. Call, can we update this brochure? Boom, now I'm doing it. So now the first year is moving so fast that we hiring people coming in and out. I bring my father on. My father retires from the village. My father comes. Now I got more credibility because everybody knew my father, right? And so it's like they think that he's about to come into a meeting, and here I come because me and my father have the same name. So I would go set up a meeting, Abdul Rahman Muhammad. They'd be like, oh, Abdul Rahman Muhammad's going to come.
You just happened to leave off the junior.
Yeah. Well, Ibn, right? Ibn.
So what does that mean?
It means son of.
Oh, okay.
And so basically, here comes young Ibn. He walks into the meeting. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, boom. So it's me. It's Eugene. Eugene is one of my first people, my LCSW that I hired. Oh, because when you're a business, you don't have to be you don't need an LCSW. I could have no degree. If I could hire people to do what I need them to do,
they work for you.
Oh yeah, that's what you do in business. And so I got Eugene comes on board as my clinical director. I got my dad who has the credibility in the community. And then my wife, she's pregnant at the time, right? So I start this whole endeavor when she's pregnant. My wife, who knew that my wife knew how to do payroll, billing, and all this kind of stuff? That's what she did at her job. I didn't know she did that. But boom. So the thing is that a lot of times when people are trying to do stuff, this is one of the biggest advice I would give somebody that's listening right now. Mm-hmm. They don't think about their team. So there's like a lot of stuff that I can do. But guess what? If you want to be successful in your endeavors out here in the world, you want to be successful and stuff, you got to get a team.
Gotta get a team.
You got to have people, and you got to have a team. It's not about the pay. So going back to money, right? Everybody care about money. Most of the things I do that I love, I do not get paid for them.
Yeah.
I actually have a scale for myself, and I ask myself, would I do it for free? Right? So if I would do it for free, because my thing is, money is the easiest thing to get if you have good services. You do something good, people will pay you to do it. I could do spoken word. People used to pay me to do spoken word all the time because I'm good at it. Talking, people pay me to do that because I'm good at it. So, but I also like doing those things. So sometimes I just do it for free. And you do this one for free, you get paid for this one, and this one. You do that one for free, you get paid for this one, and this one. That's how it works.
Yeah. I need to stop you because we need to talk about this, man. So you're saying so many good things. Where do I start? let's start with the adding services, right? You said, boom. Yes, we do. Um, I'm a point out a flaw, and it's
Mhm.
not in your strategy,
Oh, it's
but it's a
okay.
flaw that I see um, when people, especially here, because it goes back to what you said in the last show, and that is Hartford is the perfect place to test ideas,
Mhm.
and that thinking is pervasive throughout Hartford because people literally do test ideas. That they're launching businesses left and right,
Yeah.
or launching events or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone can be listening to you and say, "I'm gonna do what Abdul does," and we talked about this in the last show that
Mhm.
people can copy, but what they don't appreciate is the process. Because I'm sure you're cutting out a lot of the process,
Mhm.
a lot of the experience. But when you said, "Boom, we're adding services," I have seen people say, "I do that," and it's problematic because, as you said in one of your last statements, money comes easy
Mhm.
only when you provide good services. And
Right.
obviously, adding services is, quote, a piece of it,
Right.
but you got to know what you're doing. How
Oh
did
yeah.
you build the skill set and the reputation
Mhm.
to justify, boom, there it is?
So that's actually a good question, right? For the mentoring part of it, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think we were as good. Like, so if I were to do my mentoring program over now, it would be totally different from the one I created back then, of based off of everything I learned from that time.
Mm.
And it's because what I was doing was we provided the service at the level that DCF was asking for it. Right now, if I were to provide a service, this would be their level, and I would go higher than that because I know I know what the kids need. Like, so at the end of the day, it's not just to meet the standard; it's to really to help my people succeed. I have to do the next thing.
But hold on. All right, so DCF made the request for the mentoring services.
Yeah,
You met the need.
we met the need.
So let's not overlook that because ultimately, what you're saying in business terms is you understood the scope of
Yeah,
work, right?
right.
You determined your capacity to perform on the scope of
Yeah,
work. Because if you do not meet that scope of work, you will not get paid.
yep.
It is not that simple, Abdul, right? I think you're gonna agree with me. It's not that simple to say, I know what the people need, I know what the community needs, I'm gonna do it, boom, there it is, I'm gonna get paid. That's not how that works.
No. So this is the thing. This is the problem that occurred, right? Because this is a big story in a way for what we did. So at the time when I first started, let's say that there were 3 community agencies that worked with DCF that did mentoring.
Yep.
So let's say you had the big one, like maybe the Village, and then you maybe have another like small business, and then maybe it's 4, and then it's a 4. Over the next 5 years, maybe there was 100, right? So everybody started putting up a shingle to
Flooding the
do
market.
mentoring. They
Right.
flooded the market. But the other thing about it is that they didn't have all of the logistics either.
Like,
Like the person that does payroll, the person that sends out your notes, the person that communicates when you're not getting paid, the person that gets the payment authorization. They didn't have the systems in place, right?
the infrastructure,
The
the back
infrastructure,
end.
all of the things you need. Because if I'm a one man show, right, it's a totally okay. So wait a second. I got to go see these kids. I got to write the report. I got to send the report. I got to make sure I got my payment authorization. I got to keep my payment authorizations up to date. No, they don't have that.
And your notes and your data. Now we got data
And so
systems.
now the quality is going down, 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 down.
But I'm doing good work. I'm
No,
servicing the community
you're
though.
doing good work with the kid. But the thing is that is only one part of the 7 things that you have to do.
Say it again. Say it again.
It's only one part of 7 things you got to do. And if you're going to be a business, right? This is the other thing people don't calculate, right? Because there's a number that you have to be able to meet to make your business an actual business. So
What do you mean, butts in seats or feet walking through the door?
yeah, so if you're talking about mentoring, if I have 3 mentoring cases, right? But the amount of time, so let's say I get
Don't
paid.
you go there.
No, this
Don't
is
you go
important.
there.
Because people think they're a business, right?
Don't you go there.
This is important.
Yeah.
If you're a business, right? You have to have, okay, so I do the work. So let's say I get paid. Let's use an easy number. These aren't real numbers. But let's use $10, right? All right, so for an hour of my work, it costs $10. All right, so I go out and I do 5 hours of work. That means I should make $50. However, now I've done the 50 hours. The payment authorization is also for 5 hours a week. Now, I
So
still
authorization meaning getting paid from DCF.
So DCF gives you a piece of paper that says we will authorize you for 5 hours a week at $10 an hour for 3 months.
For people listening, DCF is the Department of Children and Families.
Yeah.
It may be called something different in your city, but
Right.
it's the same thing.
Right. This is, and I'm using my world, right? This is my world I operate in. But I'm just trying to make people understand where some of the flaws in people's business models might have come up, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, so now I went out and I did this service for 5 hours. So if we were selling lollipops, we would get our $50 in cash, and that's it. But DCF is a huge bureaucracy. It's not no lollipops, you know? Okay, so now I need to write my note of all of my visits for the entire month.
You mean keep data?
Yeah, I gotta write.
No.
I have to write a monthly report to send
No,
to DCF.
no.
So for a month, so now that's gonna take me like an hour, right? So keep in mind, you built them for 20 hours for the month. But now I just took another. This is an hour that I'm not gonna get billed.
You don't get paid to write notes.
Okay, so now I'm writing my notes. Boom, that's an hour. Now I have to get this note to the DCF worker, and if I have more for every case, I have to do this.
Everybody
that
you serve, you gotta have data.
So boom, I send out my. So now I gotta send it out. Now I gotta attach my note with my payment authorization because there's a system to it. I gotta send it to this person. Now the thing is that now I gotta wait 3, 6
Speak it.
months, maybe 3 months.
But this service was provided 3-6 months ago.
Yeah, but it's DCF. They have thousands of services.
But isn't that business anywhere? There's a delay.
It takes time. So the thing is, what I'm saying is that, you know, when you're in business, you have to have the infrastructure where you got long money and short money. You got money coming in today, and you got money coming in 3 months from now. You got a grant, you got something, whatever. You got to be able to balance these. Now, fortunately for us, now don't get me wrong, we had many days in the early years where it was like payday, and I was like trying to figure out where I'm gonna get this $20,000. Don't get me wrong. Okay, now we're about to hit 14 years next month, right? We're good. We're in a good place right now. But in those early years, I was like, could you just give me a week? You know, now I can always say nobody's never not got paid at my people. But I'm talking about I be going to my friends, family, like, yo, just give me a week. I'll get you this money back. And they're like giving me $10,000 that I got to figure out. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get it back. There have been days when I didn't get a check. Where I still have a house and kids and I'm sitting around trying to figure out, like, yo, what are we gonna do? That's part of it.
When you run a business, folks,
Yeah.
people's livelihood is in your hands.
That's right.
Their bills, their house, their car, their kids, their school, the food they eat, the electricity. And so you can't play games with people's.
Don't play that game. I never play that game. That's exactly why.
And this is for nonprofits and for-profits, man.
People-
It doesn't matter what business you're in.
They need that $100.
It's a big deal. Or they're not coming to work on Monday.
They need that money.
Or you get sued for bad practices running a business, for-profit or nonprofit.
That's right. Gotta get that money.
But this is why I wanted to dig in, because I think people, you know, when I talk to people about you, oh, that's Abdul, that's my guy. Oh yeah, I'm following his footsteps. Yeah, cool.
Right.
But dog, like, you don't have the infrastructure, and not that you gotta have what Abdul has. I am a big believer, and you said this in the last show, and you said it again in this show. Stay in your lane. Right. So from a business standpoint, there's so many ways to make that happen. If your lane is to provide the services, then you have to, my recommendation, person watching, you got to invest in the back end infrastructure. One of the things I podcasted recently, let's say in the past 6 months or so, was the importance of finding fiscal sponsors if you're a nonprofit, especially if you start out. The benefit of a fiscal sponsor is they provide the back end infrastructure, accounting, legal, IT,
Right.
any and everything you need to just do the back end stuff, the processing stuff, while you do the work.
Right.
And it's the same thing for for-profit businesses. You may say, I could do it myself and save a couple of bucks. It ain't worth it, bro.
It ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it.
Gotta have people in those positions.
And when you say team,
Yep.
people think, oh, snap, I gotta go, get my dad, my mom, my cousin, my wife,
Sometimes.
sometimes, but then sometimes team can represent the company you hire to do back end services.
I use account temps all the time.
Dog, come on, man.
I do.
Dog,
We have an account temps person in my office right now.
let me. So, a team could be account temp.
Yep.
A team could come from a staffing agency.
Yep.
A team could come from a gig website like Fiverr.
That's right.
I'm in the
Fiverr.
process. I love Fiverr too.
I love Fiverr.
I'm in the process of editing a book that's about to be released on grant writing.
Yeah.
Got to get that when it comes out.
That book.
My team.
Yep. The Fiverr team?
What? The Fiverr team. My team.
Me and Zoe have used Fiverr so much in the early days before we got E. Campbell, our graphic designer.
Listen, man.
Trust me.
Listen, Fiverr, and it's my team because I pay for it.
You pay for it.
My team.
It goes off in the write-off too.
It better. Listen, so you need a team somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
And then if you need real bodies, I learned this from my IT days. We call them matrix teams.
Mhm.
These are people who moonlight to support you.
Right.
They're not fully dedicated to you, but they provide hours of services to support you.
Right.
And you need some combination of all that to make this work.
You do.
So now, I so much I want to ask you. You're saying, boom, I do this. Let me ask you this question. How did you float the business in the early days? Was it your wife working? Did you get a loan?
No,
Like how was
no,
that?
no.
You were working a job and doing this. How
No.
did you float?
Once we turned the corner, so it's really basically like I said, our business when I first started, it wasn't like I had a whole bunch of money or anything like that. I also believe sometimes your destiny is your destiny too.
Right.
You know, it's like I would love to tell you that, you know, I saved a bunch of money and we're going tooth to mouth. And so when that first from March to June, I was just working. I worked 4 jobs. In June, I realized that if I go 100% into my people, so that the thing is that nobody could put a limit on the amount of work I can do. So once I made that transition, I would work, you know, all the time.
Okay, so hold on. You know what? Let's say this for the next show. We'll tune into the next show. We're going to finish this conversation.
Yep.
We'll catch y'all later.